If you're anything like me and you need to download 700 gigs worth of testing software in order to fully benchmark a laptop or PC, you need pretty big internet. So I've just gotten 500 megabits worth of it, and just in time to test ASUS's new tough, like super monster thing. Good afternoon and welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. As I said, I've got this here unit here and I'm sitting in this maybe less familiar environment and situation because it's literally my internet right now and has been for basically since I got it installed about a week ago. And I've been fiddling with the router endlessly to see what it can and can't do. And I will go through every single function that I was able to play with later, but I think it's a really good precursor to say ASUS is kind of mad when it comes to networking. It's honestly one of their locally it's super underrated. We tend to just go for price on a router. We don't really care what it does, except then we complain about lag and packet loss, etc. And it can often be down to that exact device that's doing your last mile conversion from the ONT and then spreading it through the rest of the network. And it's really something we should pay a little bit more attention to, especially if you are in a home office environment or something like that. Then your ears should be perking up about now, because the ASUS TUF, it's marketed as a gaming thing, and really what it is a home and office automation suite with some gaming features and stuff added on top. So let's start off with the physical setup of the router. So on the far right at the back, you'll see a reset button and then a WPS button next to that. Next to that is your WAN port, so that'll take from your ONT in there to spread through the rest of the network. Then on LAN 1, they have a gaming port, and any device connected to LAN 1 gets gaming priority, which I will show you later in the software. Then you've got 3 more LAN ports. All of those are gigabit compatible as well. Next to that is a USB 3.0 port, and this has a myriad of functions once again. Next to that, you have your power button and then your DC input. The router, you might notice as well, has adopted that Space Invader 17,000 aerials, and that's very good because then it can do beamforming and send actual signal by triangulating amongst the aerials based on the distance and stuff to the device. It can actually beamform and send extra Wi-Fi signal to your device, and it works, as you will see with the speed tests from my Galaxy S9. The look and feel of the router is also pretty cool, I must say. It's definitely got that gaming joie de vivre, especially with the TUF RGB, and you can control it from within the software. And it's like one of the first things at the top right of the software is actually that RGB control, which is it's nice, okay? It's stupid fun, and you can turn it off if you don't want it to be there. Speaking of lights and indicator lights, the indicator lights on this are some of the brightest and most piercing I've ever seen. If this was sitting on my desk and that was in iShot, I would be getting flashbanged every single time I made a connection. ASUS, please do put some diffusing on that. That's about the only thing I could complain of, or only complaints I could make, at least looking at the devices, that those things really could use a little bit of diffusing. The rest of it is doing that typical ASUS, you know, like alien spaceship sort of thing, and it does look very gaming, and I think it would look quite good on the desktop amongst the remainder of your gaming equipment. It's definitely got the look and feel down. It almost feels like a double router stack because there's one set of ports, you know, and then like the big vent on top there with all the other aerials and stuff coming out of it. And it's kind of what's going on, is there's like a switch and everything underneath that, and then they've put a computer brain on top. It has a very interesting 3-core 1.5 gigahertz processor, if I'm not mistaken. ARM based, obviously, because you can just throw ARM into anything these days. Don't I know it with retro gaming consoles and all of those awesome things. So this is kind of like that, but now it just runs your network, and it's extremely overpowered as a result. Inside of the box, you will find the router itself, a power plug and a spare LAN cable, and then this myriad of various warranty cards and other literature, and they even have provided it in other languages. Even though we only speak English here in South Africa, this has obviously been made for the entire EMEA region, because you have VIP member warranty card, and then you have the Russian edition, which I can only assume says Chiki Briki Pashkuinki on the front over there, and then you get it also in what I believe is Spanish, Certificado de Garantía Miembro VIP. There's quite a comprehensive quick start guide as well, with the first set of instructions being turn the unit on, which is pretty helpful, I must say. And then there's safety notices as well, and then some more connection stuff in case you've never plugged in a LAN cable before in your life and you are buying this router. Would make me a little bit confused, but in case you need help with that, there you go. And then this one has breathing instructions of how to inhale and exhale. I hope it's clear that that was all very tongue-in-cheek and that the appropriate literature is more than comprehensive. So if you do get stuck, there's instruction sets and instruction sets here. So that's what's in the box and the physical setup of the device itself. But what is it like to use? That's where we jump over to the PC. Okay, let's start off from the top as we log in. So you can actually set what you want that to be called. I just used admin because it's easy and an old default. Alright, so once logged in, this is the landing page and what you'll be seeing over here. And there's some pretty cool quick tools on the landing page. You can see the status of the router, how much RAM and stuff has been used in it, depending on the traffic and everything that you're putting through, how much of the CPU is being used. At the moment, you can see it's kind of having a chill time because I've only got these two connected at the moment and my cell phone, which is also connected to it. So like I said as well though, right on the front of the page is the Aura RGB, so you can have it static, breathing, or wave, and you can turn it off, as I said. But if you turn it off, like, where's the joy in your life? Another thing I really like on the landing page is that you can see your status of your internet, your WAN IP, and all of that sort of stuff. Don't worry about DDoSing me. I'm gonna reset it after this because it's dynamic, and you can DDoS whoever gets that IP because it won't be me. So moving on though, you can immediately go in here and change your Wi-Fi settings as well, which is kind of nice. There's like a lot of cool little quick functions. One of the better ones is this client list, so you can see exactly who's connected, what IP, what device, the MAC address of that device, all of the pertinent information, even the connection rate. So at the moment my phone's connecting at 780 megabits because it's on the older Wi-Fi 5AC, so that's running, well, you can see on the 5 gigahertz channel. I mean, look at the amount of detail, the access time, everything for those devices. It really is quite comprehensive. Then you have like your various USB functions and stuff on the front page as well. I actually haven't gotten this to work yet, which is kind of annoying because I've been trying to do the offline downloader, which I can't actually show you. It just keeps returning a fault to me, but I've asked the ASUS guys to get me some feedback on that, so I will be able to show it, and you'll see how many other USB functions there are. It's actually kind of stiff. And then you got your AiMesh, like your straight AiMesh on here. I'm not going to go into it over here because when we get there, then I can explain to you how it all works, which is our next port of call, as it turns out. So the AiMesh system from ASUS is really sick because at the touch of a button, you can see exactly what's in the mesh, what nodes are in it. You can add nodes to it, you can do different settings for different routers, and you can also have like different nodes with completely different settings on them, different networks on them. You can copy those networks across all of the nodes. It's really comprehensive. The way that the AiMesh system works now for ASUS is absolutely fantastic. The guest network functionality is also super sick. This is, I think, is going to be really attractive to those in like hospitality suites, people that have offices, that have clients and stuff come in where they need a working space or they need access to internet, but you don't necessarily want them having access to the rest of your network. When you enable one of these, you'll see that it goes through an application phase. So I'm actually going to let this go live so you can see how long it takes for it to build a new Wi-Fi network. But after enabling that network, you can then do various different settings on it, and you can copy it across to the 5 gigahertz. So I've already done the setup for it, but if I click over here, then you can see the exact settings and stuff that I've got. So this one, I had a few different settings on it, including bandwidth limiter, which is quite nice, which I've done some testing with my phone, and you can see that it was actually just under 15 megabits that it gave throughput for both up and down, whereas before it was like 400 and 300 odd. So you can do that on here. You can, like I said, you can access, if you don't want it to access the intranet, the rest of the internal network, you can separate these from your normal network. You can also set the access time, so how long they have access for. So if you only want it to be an hour, you can set that. So you can kind of see you're getting like a whole hospitality and hosting suite, and not just for one network. As I say, this can be across now 6 different guest networks that you can have enabled, 3 for 2.4 gigahertz and 3 for the 5, or you can have them simultaneously on the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz. The AI Protection Suite has been upgraded to the nth degree, and it really works quite well. I've actually tried to go to sites I know are sketchy, where sketchy behaviors and stuff have been known to happen, and as you can see, it literally blocks you from accessing those sites, which is kind of stiff. The risk and analysis is also a really nice thing. It'll tell you about each piece. Is your login done correctly? Is your password strength strong or not? It'll help you with things like WPS. So that's like a one-touch button for connecting wireless devices. And it can be a hazard, because someone could, if anybody has physical access to your router, they can connect to your network on that. I'm obviously not worried about it because nobody's coming here, at least not voluntarily. But I mean, you can see the amount of things that it looks at, different port forwarding and that sort of stuff. At the moment, my port forwarding is enabled because I've been using the gaming modes, so that's somewhat irrelevant. But you can see it checks everything for you and tells you. And then if you want to change the setting, you literally just click the button and it'll take you straight into that specific setting. Infected device protection blocking is also lost on me because I am not that dodgy. Now moving on to parental controls. It's called parental controls, but really it's like it's access to what you want to give access to, and it can be device specific as well. So I've set up my device over here, and then I've set up the exact ones that I want to block it from having access to. So if I enable this and I go apply, you'll notice that I can no longer access things like YouTube. So just let that complete. Let's open up a new tab and we'll go to YouTube over here, and you'll notice absolutely nothing is going to load up. Same thing will happen if I try to access Facebook. Absolutely nothing will happen. But if I try to, for instance, go look at a DAC that I was looking on Amazon, I was interested in videos and these kind of things, then that loads up still perfectly. So you can see I've still got internet access, but I've taken off all of those FTP, P2P, and all of the social media sites and stuff. It works for adult protection. It works on absolutely anything in that exact way. The site will just not load. This is what you will see on your web page. Now we get to one of the really interesting things here is the game boost and that sort of stuff. And it's literally like on-click port forwarding. So for instance, if you were prioritizing different devices for different games like PS and stuff, you would do it over there. You can prioritize for mobile games, but the open NAT and the 3-step port forwarding, this is like one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So you literally just tell it which game profile you want to have. You add it to the list. You say for which platform. So this is for PC. The service name is CSGO. And then you just select from the drop down which IP you want to assign it to. So if you have multiple clients, like multiple homies coming over to have a LAN, then you can do your port forwarding for them, add in all of those functions just like that for each PC, apply them, and then you won't have issues connecting to the same server. Now we move over to QoS and the bandwidth limiting and all of that sort of stuff. And it's like the tracking and stuff on this router is kind of sick. So if you go over to the normal quality of service setting, you can have it on a bandwidth limiter, you can have it on adaptive QoS and that sort of stuff. And obviously that will say you have to have it in one mode or the other, depending on how your guest networks and stuff are set up. But you can customize what your priority is for your personal network. So obviously I have gaming on the top, then because I'm streaming and watching a lot of content and stuff online, I have video and audio streaming, file transferring, because like I said, I've got 700 gigs worth, work from home, web surfing others, and then learn from home. I put that at the lowest priority because it's almost impossible to teach us old dog new tricks. But you can see, like, I mean, the way that it's set up is kind of sick, you know. Yeah, I'm not worried about that right now because who cares, right? Because I'm the only one really using it. So yeah, that's cool. So, but you can only do, as you can see, one or the other. Just do take note of that. The traffic analyzer is also super sick. I mean, just look at it over here. You can see exactly like how much you used on which day at which time, the exact hours as well. And you can see at this time I was not at home. That's what it looks like that. So in an hour between there and there, in that hour I've used 5 gigs worth of data. I mean, my daily traffic, look at it. It's kind of nasty. when I'm in a cycle of testing laptops and stuff, it will exceed 2 terabytes for the month. But you can see exactly where I'm using it, exactly where I'm using it on the device, and then similarly what my phone is using and how much data. So obviously the phone is literally just 9 gig. That's why, yeah, that's that, because it's basically 9 gig. And then for my PC, obviously this is for the homies. Every day I sit and I watch 43 gigs worth of Twitch because I love you all. Now, the USB application is why I'm saying that this is more of a home office automation suite than anything else, because you can share files over with the USB through the internet, so you can set up like its own VPN sharing thing. I'm not sure about security and stuff, and that it should be pretty good because this is a Trend Micro like setup for the firewall and that sort of stuff. And from what I can see, it is pretty secure. Don't quote me on anything like that. I would test it before you implement it in a business with sensitive information, but it is a function that's there. And similarly, there's a couple of other things, one of them being a network printer server, which is kind of cool. So you can plug in a USB printer into the device and then set it up as a network printer. So if the printer doesn't have that functionality, you sort it. It's got a failover as well for 3G and 4G, time machine functionality, which is an Apple function, so you can have your drive connected there and it'll auto backup. And then the download master, which is something that I really wanted to use, but I couldn't get it to damn work. It just kept telling me the same fault every time I do the install. It does this little run around, and then eventually at the end it's like, no connection to server, you can get out of here. And it's, you can see it's installing like Linux based stuff from what I can see, based on how that stuff is like written out and stuff. It's got its like own little Linux based operating environment that it installs onto the drive in order to do that. But like I said, I haven't got it working yet, and when I do, then I'll update you onto how that actually works to see if it might be something that's appealing to you, because it could just be a case of you download that USB, unplug it from there and plug it straight into your TV and then watch, which will be sick. Yeah, you see this every time. Then we come to the AiCloud 2.0. This is really where you set up for those streaming devices and smart access and VPN and all of that sort of stuff you'll do in this environment. Now, of course, there's advanced functions for everything you can imagine. I mean, the function set in here is so comprehensive. I could probably do a 20-minute video all by myself. But what's nice is there's so many of these devices with similar sort of setups on them that you'll be able to quite quickly Google to see if that specific function you're looking for is available on the router. Now, ease of use is very important to ASUS, and it's why they continuously win that Reader's Choice Award. And this was like one of the cooler things that I saw. So while you can access it and manage it on your phone, and they've had that functionality for a really long time, now you can connect your listening device, Alexa, your hey wiretap device, Alexa, directly to the router, and you can tell it to do functions on the router without having to basically lift a finger even in the direction of your phone. So if you were to have Amazon Alexa and you say we're lagging in game, and you know that the adaptive quality of service isn't on, you could just tell it to prioritize your traffic or to prioritize that specific device, and then it should just do it. I'd love to test it, but yeah, having a listening device in my house is not high on my priority list. Now, it does have various versions of VPN. I don't have anything to test there. Once again, the firewall as well, I just don't have denial of service protect or anybody that's willing to DDoS me because they don't feel like going to jail, which is pretty fair. Administration is nice because you can change the different variants in this. So it can be a media bridge, or you can tell it to be an AiMesh node, repeater mode, etc. So you can do all of that in there. Now, the system log is actually kind of interesting because it even has stuff from when they set up and did the kernel updates and stuff on it, so you can see exactly when the firmware etc was updated. But what I do like about it is like this logging here, so you can see all of my usage on it and all of my different settings and stuff as I've been using the router, and you can see who changed what and when they changed it if you have multiple users, which is cool. The wireless log as well is quite comprehensive. I mean, the logs on this thing and some of the testing and stuff that you can do is pretty significant. Even for instance, stuff like this, if you are managing a network, then you've got all of those DHCP leases in front of you, your IPv6, it's disabled currently, but you can see your routing table and your port forwarding and your various connections and stuff that you are busy making. And finally, we have ye olde network tools, so you can ping, traceroute, and look up all to various things. So if I just put in Google's DNS, for instance, over here and hit the diagnose button, then it'll give me my average ping and my loss and my jitter. And now I can leave this and I can log out of the router and I can come back later and it'll show me the progress and all of that sort of stuff over time. As you can see, the internals are massively comprehensive. It's very difficult for me to cover everything in one video without it turning into like a 30-minute video. These things are massively resource rich. So like I said before, if you do need a specific function, please do Google before you buy. Anyway, back to the studio. Now the software, as we can see, is significantly comprehensive, but they've just taken it to the extra mile, because then you can still manage like 90% of that functionality directly from your phone. So if you want to enable and disable those guest networks, or you want to be able to block someone off the network, or have a device slow down, or prioritize traffic, you can do all of that from your mobile device. You don't actually have to log in on the PC. So you could literally, while you're gaming, in between respawns, without alt tabbing, change what you're doing in game and how your network and stuff is functioning. And the fact that you can layer network traffic by importance, and the fact that it actually does work. I mean, I was literally downloading, I think, at about 45 megabytes per second while gaming, and my ping variance was 2 milliseconds, literally 2. I will say, with it off, you do get a better ping than with it on by default by about a millisecond, but that kind of offset to never feel anything else on the network and just carry on gaming freely is really, really nice. The home office automation stuff as well, big check mark from me. These are going to be premium. It's typical with ASUS networking, but look at the function set. Look at the features and everything that you are getting from it. 3-year warranty as well means that your cost of ownership, compared to like buying a 1,000 Rand router and owning it for a year, is going to be, you know, almost comparable. But then again, that's the thing, is that that's ASUS's general strategy, is to have like massive amounts of feature set. And yes, they do charge you to have that. It's the same as buying an S-Class Mercedes-Benz. But if you are in an office like work environment, like a small business or something like that, you've got say 10 to 20 users even, this could manage everything for you. And it's got features in there that I only saw on like Peplink units that cost 30,000 Rand about 10 years ago. Now you have all of that in a home-based router, and ASUS is the only company that really does that. Anyway, that's all I have for you in this review. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side. Guten Tag, mein Freunde. That's German for mein Freunde. Welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. AX5400 thing. I keep mixing the 4 and the 5 around as well, which is dangerous because it's like 900 megabits with a potential transfer different. So luckily ASUS put it in that orientation and not the other way around like me.